Many phones these days claim to be water resistant or waterproof, but I don't know, personally I wouldn't feel comfortable putting my phone under the water. However, there are lots of bags and pouches that are very cheaply available that enable you to do just that and to explore this magical world of underwater photography. That's what I'm going to do right now. You don't need to be anywhere particularly exotic like the Great Barrier Reef. I'm literally at a brook near to where I live, and I think this is going to provide some great pictures. All I'm going to do is gently lower my phone in its pouch into the water, and wow, I mean that's immediately really interesting. Let's just lock and take an image there, because even though, look, it's not a coral reef in there, let's face it, it's just the bottom of a little brook. Because we're not used to seeing this level of detail with our naked eye, it's really quite fascinating. I love the colour as well. This kind of aquamarine colour, no surprises there. That's great. And if I lean my phone actually on the ground, on the bed of the brook, I get this lovely out of focus effect. Now, one thing I have noticed is that because I'm in this pouch, I'm having to prod quite a long way before I can touch the shutter button on the screen, and that is introducing a bit of wobble, and I'm not able to compose quite as I'd like. So what I'm going to do is just go into the menu there and set a 3-second timer. So now, when I press the shutter, it's going to count down from 3, and that'll enable me just to steady myself, make sure I'm getting the exposure that I want. So just dangling it in again. Let's just select point of focus just there, hit the shutter button, and then 3, 2, 1. Much better, much better. Okay, well let's have a look at what the different lens options give me on here. So I can go to 2 times zoom. Yeah, actually not quite so interesting. Not as interesting as I'd hoped. Things don't look quite as sharp. Maybe that's because of the pouch and the fact that I'm looking through a clear bit of plastic. That's not quite as pretty as I'd hoped. How about the wide? Oh yes. Now, interestingly, the wide is far more interesting. I've got an artificial horizon here, if you like, just where the other riverbank is, and the water is taking up the top quarter or top third, and I really like that effect. So I'm just going to take a photo of that. Now, one more shot I want to try. Something that I noticed is as I put my in fact, just there, as I put my phone in its pouch into the water, as I got halfway down, there's this really interesting effect where half of the exposure is underwater and half of it is above water, and some really interesting things start to happen. First of all, if I choose to focus on the riverbank, this wonderful green bracken on the other side, if it's locked focus there, and then take my shot, the riverbank is in sharp focus, underwater not quite so much. I'll just take that again, half and half. Really nice effect. We've got some reflections on the water itself there. If I just go a little bit lower down, you can just start to see the water line, and I'm angling up a little bit to kill those reflections. Let's just try this with a bit of an angle. There we are. Now, what if I try to focus under the water instead and just maybe angle forward? There we go. It's almost like there are 2 separate images there, like a double exposure type thing. And if I underwater then lean up, I lose all of those weird reflections there. Maybe that's just a little bit too much. One more time. Excellent. Do you know, I think I'm going to be hard pushed to know which ones I prefer, the fully submersed pictures or the ones that are half in, half out. Let's take a look. This is the underwater shot with the camera fully submerged in the water and the one-time lens deployed, and well, I really like it. You can see all kinds of detail that we don't see with the naked eye. The colour under there is much richer, much more vibrant than I'd anticipate from being air side, wonderful blues and greens and some reds of the different rocks under the water. There's a very sharp point of focus across the middle, and I love how the focus drops in and drops out again. And then we've got this aquamarine horizon as the water falls to the other bank. If I'm being hypercritical, maybe my framing could have been a little bit more leveled, but it's quite difficult to focus, to frame your shot properly when half of your phone is underwater and you can't see the viewfinder properly. So a really successful shot, revealing much more about life under the water than I might have thought it could have. This is what the underwater shot looks like when I'm using the ultra wide lens on the phone, the 0.6. And there are three distinct areas of this shot that really excite me. We've got the bed of the river here, but much more of it because of the wide-angled lens letting a lot more in. And then we've got the top, the reflection of that riverbed from the top of the water, a little bit of the sky creeping in, but really we're just getting this slightly distorted version of what's on the floor of the river. And then across the middle we've got the aquamarine blue expanse. It's a really creative shot, I'm really happy with it. This is one of my favourite half and half shots. Clearly we're underwater here, taking a look at the rocks and the stones and the pebbles under the surface of the water, yet on top, the top half of the camera is peeking above the surface, looking at the green bracken on the other side of the riverbank. The colours complement each other really well, the oranges and browns with the greens of the bracken, but then we've got this hinterland across the middle, and this is a strange dreamy world where below water and above water collide, where they blur, and there's this, I guess, the blur there of where the water line is meeting across the middle of the camera. It's creatively exciting, it's compositionally exciting. That's why I think this might be my favourite of the lot.